Okay, so it's Monday, January 20th, and what I'm going to do today is address an area I didn't get to last Tuesday with Ronnie York. So we had an interview scheduled, and because I advertised it, I had a kind of a really rough afternoon. I'll spare the details, but as a targeted individual, you get harassed a lot, and sometimes pretty scared. And so, yeah, I wasn't as focused as I would like to be because I had to suppress the torture death threat that I received that day. So I didn't cancel the interview, but it wasn't my best work, that's for sure. And so anyways, I've been deciphering it here on my website, and I wanted to address some questions that came up afterwards. And one of them was, you know, if you can name anyone, who are they and how do you know them? Anyone who's basically part of the system, who's committed crime and retort to the demise of me and my children. And so I answered, oh my gosh, I can name, 200, over 200 of them. And they're listed here under pfi.rocks, organized crime, VIS, which refers to a victim impact statement, which is what you provide to the police when you finally press charges. And so I've been working on this list for a while, and I've separated them by judges, crown prosecutors, police, lawyers, children's aid, whatever. And so my goal is for each of them to build out a page. So for example, Kevin B. Phillips, he's a judge who legally issued a gag order on me despite having in front of him tons of evidence that I was a victim of domestic violence, falsely accused by John Kiska, etc., etc. He just ignored the law and issued the gag order anyways to say I couldn't post anything on social media. All the details kind of are there, but my intention is to do one of these for each of the career criminals, I call them, listed on the VIS page. It's very time consuming, and I've already done this. I did this last year. So for example, I went through, the CAS stole my kids, handed them over to sociopath. So I had the whole thing documented and linked to all of the court documents. As you can see here, transcripts, the factums, the affidavits, the exhibits. Oh, that was, I guess I didn't finish that part yet. That was the appeal. I did the same thing for the summary judgment, and that one was completed. And the reason I did this is because that's the only way you can evidence how much crime they're committing. When I provide all the evidence that, I'm trying to divorce a sociopath. And everybody ignores it. The CIS ignored it, the OCL ignored it, the judges ignored it, to just rip me from the lives of my children and hand them over to sociopath. So I had to hide all that under a different website. I'd remove it from pfi.rocks in April 2021. As soon as I started linking all the evidence against the judges, they shut me down. And so what I'm doing now is, I'm rebuilding this whole thing, slightly differently, and redoing the whole thing. And, how do you get the evidence against the judges? Is through transcripts. And you have to know the legislation to know how they're breaking the law. So, this is just some of them. I mean, I must have... Oh, this is a bit of a mess. I must have like 25 transcripts because they've been torturing me for years. So, we've got Boxall, Kirschman, we got Fraser. Oh yeah, we got Fraser. We've got McLeod. Oh, wow, that's a piece of work. We've got Angle King. Ooh, she used to work for the CAS. Oh man, not me to judge. It's not my place to judge. We've got Mark Smith, just called to the bench, and he's already committing crime. Sally Gummery. Oh, you know what? Hacklin's just a transcript. This is actually not evidence against Hacklin. This is evidence. He's actually pretty good. This is Karimji. Moise Karimji. Oh man, he should be just ripped out of the Crown Attorney's office. A pathological liar. It's disgusting. John Hale should never be an amicus curiae again. Like, what a piece of work these freaking lawyers are. Aitken. Oh boy. Yeah, that was a nasty little play, Aitken. What else? Kevin B. Phillips. We just talked about him. And who else? Oh, McEachern. Oh, she's another piece of work. Yikes. Sorry, Pam. Oh, Ankle can't give field day with her. So, you know, I've got more of them. Heather Williams, you know, Ryan Bell. The list goes on and on and on and on. So I just have to be super careful on how I produce the evidence. So this is going to be more of an oral testimony because I have a probation order. After being tortured by the syndicate for 3 years. So I'll just, you know, briefly go here. So they were up to, at one point, 14 criminal charges against me. And it all started with John Kiska trying to avoid the divorce. So he accused me of criminal harassment. So, you know, at one point they charged me with B&E on the house that I own half of, where I stole nothing and had no criminal intent. I was just trying to tell my kids the truth. So, you know, and they wouldn't release me. They wouldn't give me bail. So I had to spend like 3 months in jail. And I was supposed to defend myself without access to a lawyer because I still owned $500,000 home. So I couldn't get legal aid. But I had no money, so I couldn't hire a lawyer. So they had me right where they wanted me. You know, she can't defend herself. I couldn't even prove I owned the house, even though my name was on the deed. I couldn't prove anything. And so I managed to get out in time, and that led to a whole new nightmare. But so basically what ended up happening is after 3 years of them jamming through the court orders to rip the kids from my life and the restraining orders, all illegally done. Well, finally they go, okay, well, we'll drop all the charges. Just kind of agree to this one, sort of. And unlawfully entered a dwelling. Again, that was my own house, and I did it for lawful purposes, just trying to protect my children from, you know, my Kiska's telling them I abandoned them. I moved to Texas. He's telling them I'm severely mentally ill and dangerous. I mean, the emotional abuse and the psychological abuse of gaslighting my children, Sean and Kate, have endured by this guy is incredible. Like, this irreparable harm. Telling an 11-year-old daughter that her mother moved because she doesn't want to be your mummy anymore? Like, how sick is that? Anyway, so, you know, if you go through these bail conditions, and again, they're on this, they're on my site right now. It's under, if you just go to the tab, Criminal Justice in Newfoundland Style, that's where my current probation order is. And you can see the conditions. So if you go down, I had to blank out my kids' names. Or not. I mean, it's really hard to understand what my conditions are, but basically, and it's illegal. It's basically what they're saying. If I post the evidence against the crooked Crown Attorney's Office, the crooked cops, the career criminals of the CAS and the OCL, and the judges, then I violated my probation order and can be rearrested. Even though there's something in the criminal code under section 21.1 which says if you're aware of crime and you omit to do anything, then you're considered liable. So this probation order is actually unlawful. It was illegally obtained through defamation and obstruction of justice and perjury, because Crown prosecutors are under oath. So, you know, it was illegally obtained and it's unlawful. But despite that, I was nearly rearrested on the 6th because someone in Newfoundland, because I got rearrested on the way here. That's another story for another day. But so I got this disclosure from Newfoundland. I'm being charged with assault with a weapon. It's super funny. My weapons, this is the weapon. Someone really frustrated me, so I threw one of my advocacy buttons at them. Yeah, maybe a handful, I don't know. Yeah, nobody was hurt. And so they're charging me with assault with a weapon. Like the police have nothing better to do. This is insane. Anyway, so I have lots of available defenses, and I can't believe Crown prosecutors' offices is just milking taxpayers for no good reason and letting all the real criminals go. But anyway, so this one, Tina Moore's, it's all written up in here somewhere. she calls the police and says I violated my probation order by posting a picture of the Newfoundland, of the diskette, right? As well as posting a couple of things that the so-called victim said. It'd be nice if we could charge her with something. And she's so arrogant. Her hair is two-toned. She's too articulated to be intoxicated. She must have been on something else. So, I mean, that's it. That's all I did is I document this nonsense. And so the police came and read me my rights. And I would have been arrested on the 6th if I didn't give up my right to remain silent. I would have been off in handcuffs. And I said, no, I didn't violate my probation order, and I could come up to my office and I'll show you. And so then I got a call on the 15th, file's now closed. But I mean, this is how, like, I've been arrested so many times, like 6 times, I think, and it's all garbage. So anyway, so I have to be careful. I guess the point is I have to be careful about what evidence I produce until I can shake this illegally obtained unlawful probation order, which I'm trying to do, but of course the criminals in Ottawa won't consent to me moving this thing to Newfoundland. So I've got to bring an application in front of another crooked judge. It's just such a waste of time. Anyway, so I'm going to just go through these kind of orally as I recall. I mean, hopefully I get all the names right of which judges broke which laws. And then if anyone has any questions, they can send me an email or a DM on Twitter. I'm at KJack is my Twitter handle. So it's capital CAE, capital JAK. And or you can email me. dmoore@pfi.rocks. That's pretty freaking insane. .rocks. ROCKS. Those are probably the easiest ways. So Catherine Aiken, she was in cahoots with Joe Adelman, defense attorney, and Crown Prosecutor Malcolm Savage. She ordered a psych assessment. Well, Joe duped me into volunteering for it. A psych assessment for an NCR opinion prior to any finding of guilt. So that's verboten. I can't go into full detail on each one. This will take me 3 hours, so I'll just try to do a quick 30-second overview. Julie Odette was complicit in fraud in family court with the assistance of Bell Baker lawyer Wade Smith. How they did this is when I was looking for financial support because I was a stay-at-home mom. I was the devoted parent, and yes, I worked part-time and I had a professional career, but I was a stay-at-home mom, and when I tried to go back to work full-time, it was impossible for multiple reasons. So what Julie did is she enabled John Kiska to significantly understate his income by like half. She inflated my income from 0 to nearly 100K. So that I only ended up with $1,200 in spousal support and $300 in child support. And I was supposed to be 50-50 sharing expenses, which was insane. So the lawyer I had at the time, she did the math, and I should have had $7,500 a month. And it was impossible for me to take care of the kids on $1,500 a month. And so that's fraud. Plain and simple. Ryan Bell is basically enabling the eviction scam of 2019 to go unpunished. I was falsely accused in Quebec. My house was emptied without my knowledge while I was detained. I was told I was evicted. Everybody knew that I was stuck in jail until I was acquitted. Stuck in a jail psych ward. They usually throw me in the psych ward. Another false NCR. Then I get acquitted and my house is emptied. I go to the police. They say, okay, wait for a detective to call. They close the file because Ottawa police is crooked as anything. They say, take it to court. So I take it to court. Judge throws it out. So she's complicit in theft over. I lost Sean, Kate, and I, because it was all our stuff, lost $500,000 with that eviction scam. And the reason we lost it is because I'm a target. So the proceeds of that would have gone to the participants in what I call GSI Mal, Gangstock International Malevolent, and they take out targets. And I have a bit of that under the tab gang stalking. I'm rebuilding that section because, again, I had a whole section already done and I have to pull it over from TWB. So let's see. Julie Bourgeois. Oh, she's the one that, when they added B&E to my charges in 2019, she failed to properly inform me of how to elect versus provincial and superior court. So I'm not sure if she's just, stupid or complicit. Jonathan Brunet, he's the first one. And I don't know if it's him or his assistant, but he's the one that actually just agreed to that additional 3 years of torture for my children being without their loving mother. So he's the one I have to bring an application in front of to get that probation order shipped to Newfoundland so I can find a legitimate judge. He's just erased the whole thing and, ask another crown prosecutor, Mike Boyce, just to freaking be arrested. Tracy Engelking, I don't even know where to start with her. She's just a pathological liar. She ignores evidence. There was an OCL, a 4-month investigation done by Office of the Children's Lawyer who recommended I get sole custody. I can't prove it to you because it's illegal for me to show you that document. Tracy says to crooked lawyer at CAS at the time, Terry McDougall, oh, I would ignore that report. Tracy Engelking orders a summary judgment against me, even though she's been in acquisition of evidence of massive domestic violence of every kind except the bruises. She's had all the evidence that was in my affidavits and factums. Just jammed through the system to destroy my kids. That's what family court's about. Destroying the kids, rip them from the loving home. I talk about this on Twitter. It's on my pinned tweet. It's all to create broken bodies, to keep feeding the prostitution, addict, inmate, and cheap labor industries. So if you've got a beautiful kid, an empathic kid, and you want to just break their hearts and destroy them so that you can keep those types of individuals broken, to keep gangs and mafia and corporate world happy, come to Ottawa. That's what they do. That's all it is. So who we got? Sammy. Mary Fraser, she's responsible for judging against me in the summary judgment motion. Sally Gummery, she's responsible for judging against me in the appeal. Oh, no, she's not in the appeal. Hang on, I'm getting them mixed up. What did you use, Sally? You're annoying. Oh, right. Victor Valence Blay. Piece of work. They were my family law attorneys working for Kiska. That set me up for financial ruin. So instead of ruling in my favor, it's crazy ruling, like wait till the divorce is done. Just kick the can and make sure I stay broke. Thanks a lot, Sally. Paul Harris. So he's the one who denied me bail the first time. So I'm falsely accused. I have no history of, violence, weapons, drugs, nothing. And just based on this false allegation by an ex as I go through a toxic divorce, I'm accused of criminal harassment. It's not true. I can't prove it's not true because I'm in a jail cell. It denies me bail. That's anti-charter. So JP Paul Harris, first black justice of the peace in Ottawa, crooked as you can get. So who else is he tossing in jail? Stanley Kirschman, it's harder to describe him, but basically he was slippery sloping into just breaking the rules of civil procedure to make it easier on the defendants to make up stuff and harder for me to prove that they're guilty. And this goes back to the eviction scam. And then he bailed because he knew I was going to ask him to recuse himself, I figure. So anyway, this is the appeal one. Christensen denied my CAS appeal, ignored all the evidence. Pamela McEachran, she's guilty of fraud by, preventing me to bring a motion to change the illegally obtained support order. Callum McLeod broke all the rules to issue a final restraining order and protection order against me while I was stuck in a psych ward. None of the materials were filed properly, served properly. I had no opportunity to file any documents. And I asked for an adjournment and he just, no. So he's a piece of garbage. Matheson responsible. So that the appeal board for the CAS was 3 of them.
Christensen, Matheson, and another one here. I'll get to it. Yeah, so Matheson's basically denied me twice on 2 appeals, once for the CAS and once for financial support. Now, the thing is, like, we're still married. And this is important because the Divorce Act has federal paramountcy over the Child, Youth, Family Services Act. So they jam all this stuff through court. It is not remotely legal. The Divorce Act was recently amended, so judges must, it's been codified, judges must consider financial abuse and psychological abuse when determining custody. No, they don't call it custody and access anymore. Than determining parenting time and decision-making time. So basically all they've done is they've totally circumvented the Divorce Act by keeping it in family court until my kids hate me. They've gaslit my kids so hard. My kids think I abandoned them. I got rid of all their favorite clothes, everything that was stolen from that house. They think, who knows what they've been told. So now I'm not just dealing with parental alienation. I'm dealing with child alienation. They likely don't even want to see me because of what they've been brainwashed to believe by their dad, John Kiska, by the CAS, by the OCL, by the documents he leaves out, which all say, yeah, she's severely mentally ill. If only she'd take some medication. It's written in all of the affidavits and factums. There's no evidence. In fact, they brought a motion to get their hands on all my medical files, and they didn't use a single one of them in any of their court documents because they all point to Kiska's psychological and psychiatric abuse. All of them. None of them support any sort of chronic mental illness. So it is just all garbage. Perfect. I think she just signs off in anything. She's another one. I'm like, are you just stupid or are you complicit? I really can't tell. Oh, I think Jay Perel, Perel, that was another one. That was the other appellant or sort of divisional court judge who ignored all the evidence in my CAS summary judgment appeal and ruled against me. Kevin B. Phillips, he's the illegal gag order. We've already talked about him. He used to work in the Crown Attorney's office, so he was just a buddy of Malcolm Savage, another Crown prosecutor. Just said shut her down because I was posting all the evidence on LinkedIn. Mark Shelston, he's the one that jammed through. So once I was arrested in Quebec, he jams through this order that now the CAFs can serve me electronically. They no longer have to serve me in person electronically while I'm detained in Quebec and have no access to email. And he also scheduled in 2020, legally scheduled a motion in family court that needed to be heard in civil when crooked lawyer Gonan Sneer attempted, he wanted off my file. That's another story altogether. He's just a crook. He was just trying to trigger some sort of free payment for being a crooked lawyer. So he was going to schedule it. It was delayed. It was eventually rescheduled by, I think, Pam McEachran. And Mark Smith heard it. And so Mark Smith broke the law. Because there's rules for removing someone as your attorney unless you are a special, what do they call it, special party, i.e. severely mentally ill. So he just ignored all the rules. Heather Williams, what did you do? Sorry, I can't remember half these. Oh, I guess I haven't filled this one out yet. I don't even remember what Heather did. They're just, I'm just setting up templates and I have to finish them. So, I don't know, you did something illegal. Otherwise you wouldn't be in here. There's got to be more of them. I know I have there's about 30 of them I'm up to. But, I just can't catch up on everything at the same time. Anyways, that's the judges. I mean, I can go through how all the children's aid accomplices did what they did to the detriment of the children. I can go through same thing with Office of the Children's Lawyer. Oh, this is a piece of work, Kim Walter, but yes, this just goes back to David Lametti. Any lawyer and judge that works for him. So, I don't know if I'll go through each and every one this way. So if anyone has any immediate questions, please give me a call, and I just have to kind of continue to build this out to, to show people how this thing works. And I'll briefly, look at Simlands. Hang on, where is it? So I talk about it in my interview. I'm all zoomed out here. Hang on. So if you go to the swim lanes page at pfi.rocks, this is the initial model I came up with to describe, all the different organizations that are complicit. And that's just in the main tab. I mean, this is not an exaggeration. In fact, this is oversimplified. Ottawa is a cesspool for human targeting and human trafficking. And then it came to me over the holidays that it's even sicker than that. And I named it the swim lanes. And I think from a very young age, we're picked off on how are they going to make the most money off you at one point. It may not be right away. So, I'm now in the pump and dump spouse category, and this is Kiska's website, where I think he sold this model, like how to dispose of your spouse model. And, maybe because I managed to sneak through the other ones. Maybe they tried to get me to be an addict, a prostitute, a pimp, a convict. Certainly tried with a patient. Well, I think they gave up, and then so I don't know if I was set up with them, but this is more of a theory. The swim lanes is a theory, but the other one, that's not a theory. I've lived this. So this is fact. And I'm pretty sure that swim lanes is also fact. And I need to talk to someone more about Maximus Inc. and the people that are responsible there. So yeah, you can go through here, and this is where I tried to break it down into the swim lanes, how to do it. I try to reverse engineer this disgusting entity. What are their goals? How are they going to achieve their goals through what objectives, what strategies? So there's someone who's calling me now who's going through, parental alienation. I've been through that. So I'm trying to list the ways that they succeed in alienating the parent. And then I'm trying to list the ways that they succeed in the child no longer wanting the parent. So I haven't finished this yet. I'm also, how do they orchestrate poverty and homelessness? Well, fraud, theft, defamation, gangs, all of this stuff. So I'm trying to articulate the different strategies they're using, and then break it down to the methods that they use to be successful in their strategies to reach their objectives, which goals. And the goals are, steal everything an empath has, torture them and torture their offspring, drive them to suicide. That's the ultimate goal. This is, of course, the actors and enablers. So this basically is a breakdown of this other page. So sort of the VAS page. Where was I? Let me go back here. So I need to do both these at the same time. So this big list is basically the actors and enablers listed. That'll be listed in here. Because if they didn't have these people, like if you had real mayor and councillors, then this would have been reported a long time ago. They all know about this. The school board is complicit in this whole syndicate. All the judges, all the lawyers, crown prosecutors, the police, right? Police don't do anything. They enable it. Child Protection Services enable it. All these psychiatrists and psychologists are complicit. Gang stalking, that's a whole other conversation, but Ottawa's just infiltrated with gang stalking. They even have apparel for the kids. Family physicians, non-for-profit. Yeah, you think you're getting help from these people, and you're not. They just feed information to the CAS and media, family, friends, family. Yeah. So, yeah, that's kind of it. I'll leave it there for now. Thanks for listening.